welcome to a very special edition of BYOB. We are here in Nashville. We're actually in Cool Springs, but we are at the Killer Nashville Writers Conference. And it is so exciting for Laura and I, first of all, to be in real life in 3D. And we can touch. Look, there we go. Oh, magic. We have known each other and done many things online and just together for 4 years now. And so this is the first time that we've actually gotten to be in the same room together. Super fun weekend for us. And another great friend and a friend of BYOB is Kiersten Modglin, who is back here. Kiersten Modglin. And she's joining us here at Killer Nashville. And we're going to let our author friends here and let our Laura kind of steer things for a few minutes here too and let everybody introduce themselves. So Laura, who have you got over there with you? You want to kind of go in the circle here?
I'm not sure who I have over here, but I'm gonna let them introduce themselves.
Hello, I am Dale Phillips, and my tagline is Scary Books and Murderous Crooks. I write mysteries. I have a lot of other genres as well, and I've got about 30 books out. So
That's
an impressive number.
and I had Stephen King for a writing teacher in college.
Did you really? So was he as wonderful as?
Oh, he's so wonderful. Sitting in his living room, it's very cool, so down to earth. It was unbelievable.
Man,
Great.
it's always been my dream.
Oh man, it was the best part of my college career right there.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And after that training, I guess I have to be a writer.
Yeah.
That's a great story.
Yeah.
That is a good story.
Somebody asked on Twitter, they said, have any of his students ever done anything? And I go, well, I'm working on it.
I think that you lead with that. You always lead with that.
I just flogged that horse like you wouldn't believe.
Absolutely.
Because people love him and they're like, oh, really? So that's the icebreaker. So boom.
Yeah.
Well, and we know that his books are all really scary and everything, but we want this. Well, that's true. We want the stories about him as a person to be true.
And I can tell stories about him as a person. So.
I would start every conversation like at the grocery store. I'd be like, hello, by the way, I was a student of Stephen King now.
I kind of do that a little.
I mean, I would.
I'm sorry.
My children are so embarrassed.
Yeah.
Oh,
Exactly.
well, when I was with Stephen King. Name dropper.
Exactly. So tell us about yours.
I'm Avram Lavinski. Dale is my mentor, and I'm an emerging author. I have several complete manuscripts. I write for young adults and adults. I have a few shorts published. Recently, I was in Mystery Tribune Online. I was recently, I had my first middle grade sci-fi piece published in a great magazine called Savage Planets.
Ooh.
And I have a short story coming out in Deadly Nightshade, Best New England Crime Stories. It should be out in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
I just very recently, I was shortlisted for the Al Blanchard Award for Best New England Short Story 2022. And I was also shortlisted for the Brooklyn Nonfiction Prize as well.
He gets around.
He's done a few things.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
He'll be mentoring me in 3 years.
Well, I have to tell you, one of the things I've always said, and I said the same thing to Mandy Haynes, I cannot write a short story. It's like I just don't have it in me to condense
Completely
a story
different.
down.
Mhm.
To the, I
Skill sets.
love reading short stories. I love the craft of a short story. But I totally can't do it myself.
should
I
try it.
absolutely admire those who can. I should give it another
not?
shot. But teaching short stories was always one of my favorite things, and how you can get so much intensity into so few words, and that every single word matters so much with a
Edgar
short
Allan Poe.
story. Love Edgar Allan Poe. I mean, me and Ed, we go way back.
Me and
He's my man.
Ed.
He's my man.
Fast Eddie.
Me and Ed. But I really admire that, and I admire the fact that you've chosen the short story kind of as your vehicle, because that is not something that, people might think, oh, it's fewer words, it must be easier. It's like,
Nope,
no,
it's harder.
poetry is even fewer words and still just as hard.
You can ramble in a book.
Yeah,
You can get away with rambling.
And I've seen a lot of rambling.
Absolutely. So I admire that. I admire the short story, and I think more people need to really kind of delve out there and see what short stories are out in the world, because they're fantastic.
I've got like 70 short stories.
Well, there you go. Well,
So,
you've got reading fodder
Yeah.
for a long time. So
No wonder he's your mentor, huh?
Yeah, Dale's a great mentor.
They're like, you're so productive. I'm like, no, I'm pretty lazy, actually.
I think the what makes the short stories, I think, a little easier on the soul is that as a writer is the turnaround time. So
Mhm.
I think like when you're trying to get your novels out there, it takes so long to connect with an audience and complete the circle that you feel like you're doing genetics experiments on like elephants. Like
Yeah.
Whereas like the short stories are fruit flies. Like you can get them out there pretty quick,
Nice.
and
Yeah, and then you can kind of experience it with your audience
you can
in
learn
real
from
time.
it. You get
Quicker
rejection
feedback.
Yeah.
faster. You get rejection feedback faster, and then if you get acceptances, then you get the editors. The editor at Savage Planets really banged on the piece very hard. He was a very hands-on editor, so that was my first really experience like that. So that was really helpful to me. And, I hope that I'll be able to carry that over into longer forms as well.
And the checks aren't bad either. So.
That's good to know.
That's
The
good.
checks
Yeah.
are good. There,
nice
Yeah.
there
when it
is
pays
not
off.
that much money in short stories. I mean,
There's not that much money in novels except
There's not
for
much money. Dorothy Parker, the two best words in the English language, check and closed.
but I think the biggest names in short stories in the mystery genre, for example, are not going to be telling you I sold 1 million short stories, and they're not going to have the kind of the rare success that we do. There are some people with us here in Nashville right now who have had real success, and I know that's the exception that proves the rule, but it's real. It's a difference between a white stag and a unicorn. So like making a lot of money in short stories is a unicorn. On the other hand, every now and then a albino deer is born in the forest. And there's a real white stag, and that is success in novels.
Yep. I think that's a very good way to look at it. And it's something that we don't hear enough of. And same thing with Mandy Haynes when she's on the show. It's like, tell us more about what it's like to be a short story author. What is the backside of this? And and the whole thing with the magazines and the turnaround, the editing. That's something that we know as novelists that we go through, and more and more people are starting to kind of understand the process of what goes through books. It used to be these wonderful magical things that showed up on shelves, and nobody really understood the process. And it seems like the more authors have a platform to reach more people, when we talk process and we talk all of that, more than just simply the writing and the characters, but we don't really necessarily think about what all goes into editing short stories, poetry, things like that. And it's very much the same thing, but it's interesting that it's so much quicker. It's just so much faster paced.
2 years in a novel and 1 week for a story. It's like, boom.
Wow.
I'm done with that. Now let's get on to something else. It's a great mind cleanser for other stuff.
Oh, clearing
Yeah.
the palate.
Like a sorbet to
Yes.
cleanse the
Yeah,
palate. Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's an interesting way.
I wrote short stories in college.
Did
I
you?
actually
Oh, that's
studied
right,
with
you did.
Stuart Dieback. He's kind of well known in the short story circuit. But yeah, I really enjoyed my first publications were short stories and poetry. So I do feel the same way that you do. It's like you're slogging away on this novel, and then sometimes I'm like, I just want to write a short story because I want it to be done.
Yeah.
I just want to finish the story, and it feels so satifying.
Very
I
much so.
agree. It's like
Yeah.
sorbet.
Yeah.
It's sorbet.
Short story sorbet.
Sorbet.
I think that's the title
Ooh,
of the
all right.
next.
I'm
We're going
stealing
to do a
that.
collection of short stories, so we're going to call it Short Story Sorbet. Short stories by novelists.
Yes,
Brilliant.
sorbet.
Watch us struggle and potentially fail.
Exactly. Well, someone who has not failed at very many things is our dear friend Kiersten. Kiersten, tell us a little bit about your journey, and your journey is a bit different than what most people might think.
Yeah, so I'm an indie author. I started publishing in 2016. I now have 35 books out.
Slacker.
I mean, man, I've just been wasting away.
I don't know what
Wasting
she
my
does
time.
with her time.
I spend a lot of time on the beach.
I got no hobbies.
Can't you tell by her tan?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just a prawn.
Right.
Just beautiful prawn.
Don't look
Got
at me. It's the lighting. I'm not really this tan. I did not waste my summer by the pool.
I totally did. But yeah, so I have 35 books out. My first 4 years were kind of rough. And now, luckily, thank goodness, in about 2020, my career really took off, and I started
I'm
reaching
sure.
new
Everybody else
readers.
plunges because of
I know,
COVID.
right?
You go, opportunity.
I mean, hey, you take it when it comes, right?
The rest of us were binging Bridgerton, and she's actually writing books.
All the other authors died off, so hey, open field.
So yeah, so 2020, yeah. I mean, imagine breaking that at like a cocktail party. Like 2020 was my year.
Great.
Everyone else just
Right,
takes a sip of their drink and turns to walks.
Right. Yeah. So, but anyway, so that was like my first really big year, and then yeah, it's just been great ever since. I have 2 traditional books, and the rest are indie, and I love it. I love every part of it. I live here in Nashville with nearby NOLA, and my family, my daughter, and our 2 spoiled pups. But yeah, I love what I do. I get to go speak at conferences like this and teach other people about what I do and how I do it. And that's been really exciting. And yeah.
Yeah,
I
we
just
were on
love
a
it.
panel together today and she was terrific. So
Thank you.
everybody's
we-
like,
we were
you
watching
sold how many? I hate her.
Well, one of the things that I love about the writers community, we've said this, we actually were having this conversation, and we have this conversation all the time, is how supportive they are of each other.
Cooperative, not competitive.
Absolutely. And I think what I've seen and witnessed here at Killer Nashville is very much comes that microcosm, that example of that same camaraderie, that same support. And being on the panels, you feel like you have something to share, and people are so willing to soak that up. And then at the same time, you go into the next room, and that person that was soaking up what you had to say is now the person at the panel, and you're soaking up what they had to say. And it's such an interesting dynamic here. What has been maybe the highlight thus far of Killer Nashville for you? I mean, we've been here, some of us the full day, some of us started on Thursday and are here on Friday. What has kind of been your moment so far?
Besides the open bar.
Besides the open bar, open bars, BYOB. We brought your open bars. Great. This is how Killer
We
Nashville.
may have to cut this short. I'm just saying.
Now we got drinks at
Bars
5.
opening
almost
soon.
time.
What
That's where
has
we
been
go.
other than the open bar? What's been your moment? What have you really? What's shown out to you so far?
So for me, I went to a panel this morning about setting. And like my books are, so I don't think I said this, but I write psychological and domestic thrillers. So mine don't typically tend to be very big on setting. Like I don't necessarily have to use that because it can just be some suburban town and that's all that really matters. But it was really interesting to hear like how other authors use setting. And for me, like my books are typically set in Nashville or a suburb of Nashville or a fictional town. But it just made me really excited to like try and use setting more and like I've always wanted to write about New Orleans, but I'm so terrified because I know nothing about it and I'll get it all wrong.
I got you, girl.
So it makes me excited to like potentially try using that more or like just doing different settings than like the suburban towns that I'm used to. And
What you were talking about.
so yeah, that was mine.
What about you?
I don't know if I could pick one moment, but I will say like some of the moments between the scheduled things are every bit as impactful to me as the scheduled things, and as well thought out as some of these conference get-togethers are. There's some wonderful information about it around, and people are very, very copacetic. But I think especially some of the writers here who have real life experiences, sometimes like in between or over a beer, people are sharing their life experiences. A lot of people in law enforcement here writing, not a majority, but there's there's a dozen people here who have like homicide detectives, FBI experience, and a lot of them have a lot of a loss and a lot of trauma that they're kind of working through with their writing, and that's really interesting to see. It's very touching.
Mm-hmm. How about you?
Now, for me, the bar was set pretty high 4 years ago when I came to my first Killer Nashville, and the guest of honor was J.A. Conrath, the guru of indie publishing. And he didn't go to conferences anymore. He had stated that on his blog, I just don't get out and do this anymore. And when I saw he was coming, I'm like, so walked up, bought him a beer because he always said on his blog, come up and say hi and buy me a beer. And I did, and hung out with him the whole weekend till like 3 in the morning.
Nice.
And at the end, this man is so generous. He gives me his agent's name and says, if you've got something in her line, go ahead and call her and tell her I sent you. That's to me, it's this personal connection with everybody. I've got so many cards and so many new connections with people, and it's just wonderful community. And that's the best part about it. You just can't beat that. Online is great, but like you said,
very
meeting, right?
different.
I get to meet you finally.
Yeah.
So.
Touch each other.
Exactly.
Well, not so much with
ways.
COVID, yeah. In good ways. Whoa.
Hey.
You're gonna be at the bar later.
We
There's
do
a good
have plans.
possibility.
It might happen.
It is
Might
our-
happen.
It's
kind
on
of
our
our
radar.
It's kind of our show. Well, usually I'm the one drinking during the show. I don't have the
she
drink.
drinks
Sorry,
and I
they
usually
no
forget to bring
drink.
anything to drink.
I know.
God, there's always one of those,
Because I'm doing
isn't
it
there?
between like track meets. I always have to leave early. I'm like, oh my god. Like, kids.
Well, sometimes when we record these, we're recording this one a little later in the day than normal, but normally when we record these, it's about 2:30 my time, and I don't care. I've got my Malibu. It's just the way that it is.
And I just got out of work.
Yeah, she's getting off. I'm technically probably still on the clock. Shh, don't tell anybody. But I mean, I grew up in South Louisiana, the land of the drive-through daiquiris and the
There you
breakfast daiquiris, and we have mimosas and Bloody Marys. Like alcohol for breakfast, sure. Like you can't drink all day if you don't start in the morning. It's the way that it works.
Yeah, because I think when I did my interview with you guys, it was like 2, and I was like, I didn't bring alcohol because it's like 2. And Noah was like, well,
I got mine.
We can just carry this down to the bar. I'm just saying. So.
We absolutely can. I think it is such a great conference so far, and we're looking forward to having some more time to chat with some more authors and just get to know everybody a little bit better. It has really been a joy to get to know you guys and have you guys hanging out with us and
The signs
chatting.
were effective.
The signs, our signs.
I was a little suspicious.
Oh.
Come up to the room.
Come on in.
Oh, we wondered if people were suspects.
We weren't sure where we were going to be. That's why there was the little sticker things on there with the room number. We thought maybe we'd be down there in the conference center, but then we ended up here.
The
And
hospitality.
it took on a whole other vibe. When we said, come on up and see us sometime. We'll do a little interview. So, anybody who watches the show knows that this could have gone many ways. And so, this is the way that it went, and we're very glad that this is the way that it went. But you guys have a great rest of your conference. Have a great evening tonight. We'll, I'm sure, see several of you down at the bar. And another great day tomorrow, yeah?
yeah.
Excellent. All right.
There's more?
There's more. There's so much
more.
more. There's more to come. Well, this has been a copywritten podcast of Authors on the Air Global Radio Network. Thank you so much for joining us. I am Nola Nash. She is
Laura Kemp.
and we are in real life at Killer Nashville here in Cool Springs, Tennessee. We are super grateful for everything that they have done for us as authors and for allowing us this space and time to do some interviews with some of the folks who are joining us. So thanks so much, and we will see you next time.